Hi, welcome back. I wasn't going to video any of this because I'm just curious to what's happened in here. Where did those balls go out of the ball bearing that you saw had fallen apart in the last video? So I got started, I pulled the starter motor off, just dropped the carb out of the way, and I'll take the generator off. And I thought maybe some people would like to see me do this bit and see the carnage, if there is any, of course. So we've only got 3 bolts to get this out. This actually has an extra set of mounting bolts on the cylinder block here. It's actually cast into the block. It's an extra piece. Normally they've just got the 2 on the back. So I'll move my oil tray. The plan is to get this out, clear the bike out of the way, and we're going to strip this down this afternoon and see where my ball bearings went. Or not, as a case of maybe the person who took it apart before I was in there took them out and they were only sat at the bottom of the crankcase. I don't know. I was telling you. Right. Me. Right, let's see if that will. Alright, that's the back bolt out, top bolt out. In theory, that should now come out. Right, there you go. Oh, forgot the engine breather. There we go. That's it, out. So I will move everything out of the way and reset up, and we'll get this engine stripped out and see where my balls have gone. Right, let's have a go at whipping this to bits. And just lay it out on the bench for now. We'll take this top cover off. We need to take that cover off. There's a bolt this side. This effectively holds the head on these 4 because your timing gear is in here, and there's a plunger underneath which holds the timing chain tension. I'll show you in a minute. Alright. Right, 1 timing chain. Yeah, it has got an offset bolt. Wasn't sure whether it would have an offset bolt or not, but it has 1, 2, 3, and they're not equally spaced. It'll only go on the camshaft in 1 point. So we'll loosen those while we've got somewhere stopping it turning, he says. What size are those then? 9, yeah, okay. Right, they're loose. Now, this is going to leak oil everywhere no matter what I do. So, but in here, I'll take that cover off. There's an O-ring on this cover to keep the oil in and an oil seal in the middle. With the actual timing chain and spring loaded. I'll tip that up there, you can see it. there's a bolt there, you undo it with a spring on it, and that's your plunger, and that holds your timing chain tight. So if we undo that, that'll take the tension off. We can undo those bolts, unhook the chain, pull that out. And I can't remember what size it is now for the life of me, because they're all very slightly different. Is it a 15? I have known a few people undo this thinking it was the drain bung to change the oil. Of course it all shoots out, boing. Get there in a minute. That's 14. Come on. There we go. And hopefully, there we go, there's your spring, your plunger. That comes out, and that arm will go up, and your chain will become slack. Don't worry about timing this up, we'll sort it out if we ever put it back together again. Because we don't actually know what we're doing with this at the moment. But I'm dead curious to see what if any damage in the gearbox, and did the balls end up this side of the crankcase, not the other side, being there's no evidence of them the other side. So it goes like that. Unhook your timing chain, one gear, and then that, if you unhook it, there is a roller in the middle, it sits round as well. There's a bolt there, there's a roller on that the chain sort of runs round. I did have some rag here somewhere. But now we should better undo these 4 bolts. Which weren't very tight, considering they're actually what holds the head on. As I say, there is some silicone under here, and it's not factory silicone. Somebody's been in here. Prise that up. Yeah, yuck, silicone. Right, it should come off. Oh, there's a bolt there. I forget that one. On certain models it doesn't have it. I said certainly the head's loose anyway, because there's a exhaust recirculation pipe that goes round underneath. I haven't attempted to undo the bolts on the pipe into the head. You know damn well they're going to snap, same as the exhaust studs did. Right, that's undone. There we go. What's that pipe hooked up on? Just the barrel. Right. Come on, off you come. There we go. On the cylinder head. And undo that. So there's a roller in here. That one has dropped off of our tensioner arm. And then that should separate from there. Now another one of those bolts. So all these engines, they look similar, they're all slightly different. another one of them bolts. Let's have a look. No, nothing else. That should come up. Come on. I have to hit it with a rubber hammer. Oh, there we go. Stuck gasket. There's that idler that sits on that bolt in there. The bolt's pretty good. And there's your little tiny piston. Let's work the timing chain out of the way, I think, if it'll come out of the way. Will you let go? Right, one timing chain. That's that out of the way. So basically now we need to split under all the bolts and then split this in half. Get some blocks of wood and sit it up. I need to take that. You probably can't see it from there, can you? That's your gear selector shaft, so I need to undo that nut, take that out, slide the shaft out from the middle. Is M10. Crikey, that's tight. The gearbox all turns freely. We've got to try all the gears. Seems like I'm missing something here, but okay, we'll take that out, whip that out. Get Allen key. That one, and then that. Yeah, I need that off because I need that washer out of the way to get that out. I have to get brutal with the impact. Come on, let go. Right. 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 Gunge off that bit of shaft. And that then should, as it gets stuck on the crud, should come through. Right, there we go, one gear shift shaft. Now really we are, oh that's the oil pump by the way. Get some blocks of wood and undo all the bolts around there and take all that out. Right. I wonder if that will come out without any fuss. That's your gear position switch, and it's just a load of contacts. The camera's going to pick that up on there. That a wiper attached touches as it goes around. The wiper's in there. If that'll come out without breaking. Well, hey, there we go. Yeah, and that camera spring-loaded contact goes around, it's pinned on the shaft, it rotates against. So we just need to undo all of those bolts, which are M8s, I think. So there's lots of bits for something so small. More in there. Right. I didn't think that one out of it. Oh, it's staying there. Obviously, if we do get around to putting this back together and we do actually use it, it'll be fully stripped and cleaned and anything it needs dealt with, but at this moment in time I'm very sceptical that it's actually going to go back together. Just need a rubber hammer now to split that apart. I haven't missed anything inside, have I? Nope. I want to take that out. I don't think that makes any difference, can't remember. But let's make sure that bolt doesn't go all the way through. No, it doesn't. I didn't think it did. Right, I need to go and get a rubber hammer and give that a whack. I haven't missed any bolts. Nope, that should, with a bit of a tickle, hopefully come apart. Right, give it a tap and see what happens. There we go. Which half are we going to end up where? Nowhere. Right. There you. Let's tip it up that way around. Okay. Well, I'm looking for broken teeth. And I can't see any. No. One of those should go on there. Right, so we got, I know that gear's in the wrong place, but that'll go on there like that. This is the one that's broken. That goes like that. That's your gearbox and all its bits. Selector drum. I'm looking for damage to see what's snapped off. Other than me dropping bits everywhere, nothing right now. And that bearing is a 6203, so it's a standard bearing. That one's fine, so why did it break up, I wonder? That is the question. Take the crank out. I'll stick that in there for a minute. I've got no damage. I'm looking for, you know, debris, bits. I can't see any. Which is great because it means it's fixable. So the conclusion is I might actually get away with it and just put that bearing in, which I've actually probably got. 6203, is that say? 6203, yeah. Get everything back in the right order with damn good start. It goes in there. I don't know, you can see what I'm doing here, but you have lots of little thrust washers and bits in between your gears so they don't bind up against each other. And without those, it's carnage basically. They need to be able to spin freely when they're not engaged. So you need that washer there, that little thrust washer. That's interesting. So a bearing, a set of gaskets and seals, we might as well do it all. We haven't got any broken piston rings or anything. I mean, yeah, there's a bit of wear on the piston. It's done 13,000 miles. But not excessive. There's certainly no play in anything here. The crank bearings feel fantastic. I actually think that is repairable. But where did, I wonder if we just lost a ball rather than all the balls. Oh, I got it out. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 balls, and we've got one I've dropped on the floor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got all the balls. I wonder if it's just got really badly worn. It's just cheap Chinese. I mean, yeah, the race is absolutely destroyed, and it's just given up the ghost, rather than bits of bearing, as I thought may have happened, gone everywhere and destroyed it. That would be blooming handy. Now, this doesn't always work, but it's worth a shot. I'm going to TIG weld a couple of them 6 nuts on what's left of the exhaust studs, and then try and undo them when they're hot. They may well snap off, and we've got to drill them out. If we have, we have. But it's worth a go. Come on, Butterfingers. Right. Change the glasses again because I'm blind as a bat. Let's just see what happens. Nope. My other option is to heat up that area with the gas torch and see if we can get a bit more heat into that. Let me go and get my gas bottle and give it a go. Right, this is just a propane torch running off a gas bottle. We'll just get some heat into the head and see what happens. Now, I'm not going to get it that hot. We're going to melt the valve guide seals or anything like that. I just need to see if I can expand the alley around that stud to see if it'll break the corrosion free. It may not work, and I'm still going to end up drilling this out, which is how it is, you know. But at least with it off the bike, I can stick it on a faceplate in the mill. I can drill these down square instead of running off into the alley and ending up with drunk exhaust studs. You can just see the stud twisting. I just don't think these are going to come out. On car engines where the exhaust manifold isn't exposed to the elements like these are, it's under the bonnet. Quite often this works. There's an alley cylinder head. Generally you get away with it, but where something like this has been out in the elements for, was it 15 years? Hot, cold, water on it, they tend to grow together. No, that one is just turning. Well, we'll give this one a go. And then we'll just snap them off and stick it in the mill. This is why I'm not attempting to take off and blank off that exhaust gas pipe. You know damn well those bolts are going to snap off. I'll just block it off further up the system. Of course, aluminium is really good at dissipating heat, so the heat I'm pouring into this spot to concentrate is dissipating through the heat lovely, which is great for cooling purposes, but not great when you just want to get a load of heat into this spot to see if you can fracture it free. No, that one's not, that is just turning the nut on the top. So, yeah, they're not going to come out, and that's that, but it was worth a try. It's going to snap off. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, you're just not getting the heat, intense heat into there. So yeah, the only way to deal with that is to put. Unfortunately, the abrupt end to the last bit was because my memory card was full, and then my microphone battery went flat, and I didn't know that either. But basically, this is just a quick setup to drill out those exhaust studs. I would normally make up a jig if I was doing loads of this kind of work, rather than just a G-clamp on a faceplate on the mill, but I do so few of these nowadays, it's not worth it. The first one came out perfectly, managed to drill bang down the middle, and then just literally peel the thread out. Hopefully the second one goes the same way. Right, I've reassembled one after crankcase, gear clusters in, all the gears work by turning the drum up and down in the right order. I need gaskets to put this together and oil seal, so I can't really do any more. When you put this half of the crankcase on, that tab there, camera will pick it up, that tab there, that spring sits in a notch in the crankcase. You have to align that as you slide it on. But this is all clean. Head's done, just in the parts washer, all cleaned up, everything. I'm now stuck, so we'll have to wait for some bits to turn up, then we can put the two halves together, put the gear shift detent in, and then actually check that all the gears move as you move the lever up and down. It all does seem to make sure that's all working before we then put the clutch and the guts back in. So we'll just have to wait a few days. Right, I didn't bother to film putting all this back together. I just got on with it and did it. Hopefully I've got it right and haven't made any mistakes. The only thing I wanted to mention, when you do your final drive shaft, your output shaft oil seal, the splines on here, though they don't feel very sharp, will slice that oil seal up and ruin it, and you won't notice it's sliced up till you fill it with oil and fire it up and it all just spews out. If you wrap a bit of masking tape just around the spline area, or a bit of insulation tape before we put the seal in, plenty of lube, and then a socket, and drive it in, that will save you a lot of aggro. I generally buy 2 seals just in case I cock it up, because they're so cheap. So all this engine's cost to put it back together, assuming I haven't got it wrong, is one £5 bearing or thereabouts, and a gasket set, which I think was 12 quid, and a few oil seals. So I don't think I spent more than £20 to put this back together, and hopefully it'll be okay. I thought it was worth a gamble. If it's still no good, we now have gears with the gear lever on here. It goes through the gears, and the clutch mechanism seems to work okay. I've set it up like you do a Honda, because I've got no information on this, so hopefully I've got it right. The other thing I've got to do, there's a bracket on the frame to weld on for the exhaust. if I bring this up into the camera, this didn't have a baffler. This is one of these go slower loud exhausts. Huge great hole. Well, I rolled up, I managed to get a baffle, which is just a little bit too small to go in here. So I've rolled up a couple of stainless steel bands on my rolls, and I'm going to TIG weld those in there, and then I'm just going to tack this in temporarily, just to try it and see what it's like. I know everybody thinks it's great making a lot of noise, but unless you compensate for the free-flowing exhaust with more fuel air at the right fuel air ratio, which will be governed by the size of your inlet valve and your carburetor and your inlet manifold, it'll produce less power than it did if you just left it alone. So not always making lots of noise. It might sound like it's going faster, but it won't. So, you know, I'm going to get this done. I'm not going to film any of this. There's no point. You've seen me weld loads of stuff up in the past. And I've got a bracket on the frame to do. I'll get that welded up. I'll get the engine in, and we'll come back when I'm actually at the point of hitting the go button and see what happens. Well, all back together. It's always a heart in your mouth moment when you're going to start it for the first time. I did spin it over with no plug in it and the exhaust valve cap off full of oil just until it dripped oil out of where the cap should be. Put the plug in, put the cap back on, make sure there's oil getting around the engine. I lubed it all up when I put it together. There's, you know, you want to make sure you got oil flow. There's no real pressure on these engines, more like oil flow. And I put the tank on because I wanted to see if the fuel gauge works, because it's a tiny little tank and there's no reserve, there's one outlet. So here goes nothing. Turn it on. Does it need choke? I have no idea. Let's give it a bit of choke and see what happens. Oh, it needs a bit of choke by the sounds of it. We'll turn the fuel on. It's full. That might help. I don't know how well that's coming out on the mic, but that's a hell of a lot quieter with that baffle in it. Sounds absolutely fine. That's a relief. Rev counter works, fuel gauge works. I had to find out how you operate these buttons on here because the odometer is flashing. But of course, a critical thing, do we have any gears? I noticed the ball joints in here are worn, and that's because obviously every time you change gear you're effectively opening a clutch pack, so there's a lot more load on the gears. A gear shifting than you would normally have. Let's see what happens. First, second, third, fourth, third, second, third, neutral. Hurrah, we'll call that a success. Obviously it's sat on a stand running and it's all a bit awkward here. There you go. So that's a relief. A lot of work for nothing otherwise. So all that was wrong with that was one bearing in the gearbox. That was it. Set of oil seals and some gaskets to strip it. A lot of work. But a £5 bearing, and this bike was scrapped. I know it's 10 years old, but back tyre, chain of sprockets as they're getting down a bit, and a battery, good clean service, which is, you know, it's got fresh oil in it, stick a plug in it. Just generally check it over. Obviously you need a new rear mudguard that's broken and been repaired. They are available, they're not very expensive. And the youngster's got a 125 to run around on. Now of course in 2030, I don't know if you're aware of this, here in the UK, that 50 to 125s that are powered by internal combustion engines are banned, along with the sale of new diesel and petrol cars. They have to be electric, which would be horrible because they'd be useless. They'd be overpriced, underwhelming on distance and performance. Not that 50s and 125s are particularly performance, but should we now be making sure that we hang on to every single 50 and 125 and keep it going because they're going to be needed, and will that push the values up in due course? A lot of people aren't aware that this is coming. I don't understand, you know, the most fuel efficient and least polluting vehicles on the planet are 50 and a 125, yet they're being banned. That makes no sense to me, but what do I know? So there you go, one bearing and a few gaskets, and this is back. Really pleased with the way this has turned out. It's not cost us a lot of money, bit of effort really. I mean, I could have completely messed up and got it wrong. I mean, touch wood, I haven't in an entire working life, but this is now a usable bike for the lad while he's learning to drive, because when he's 17 he is learning to drive. So I hope this video was of use to you guys and inspires you to have a go. You know, worst case scenario, if it didn't work to start with, you've lost nothing if it doesn't work afterwards, but if you can fix it, you might save yourself a fortune and get something back on the road, which is the important thing. So I'm not going to bother videoing, putting all the rest of it back together and putting a tyre on it and all the rest of it. That's pointless. We'll call that it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.